Yo, what's up, internet? It's your boy Shelvon with Gaming and Culture TV. Yesterday, I was playing Monster Hunter Wild. I've been trying to do this Let's Play thing. You should check it out. And one thing I've noticed is that my appetite for games is kind of lacking. And I kind of thought it was just me, but I saw an article on Tech for Gamers that came out a few days ago that may shed some light on what's going on, because apparently it's not just me. All right, let's get into this. So this is Tech for Gamers. The article came out on the 27th of February, and it's entitled Massive AA AAA Projects. And decline as gamers spend less time playing games, study reveals. And story highlights is a new study that revealed that AAA projects cost a lot of time and resources when there is little demand. And so I'm not going to read anymore because this article is not that long. It is no surprise to claim that AAA titles are not the attention-grabbing, or not as attention-grabbing as they used to be a decade ago, because the games were better. They were basically games made by gamers for gamers. Some of this stuff, I have no idea what the hell, who this is for, to be honest. This is like game after game that comes out. I don't know who that's for. And when I look at anybody who talks about this online, they have the same kind of opinion. It's like, I don't know who this game is for. It's like, I don't know why you change an established game that has an established fan base and try to appeal to people who don't buy games. It's crazy to me. New research reveals that AAA games are not only cost a lot of time and resources to make, but their demand is also declining. Gamers spend less time playing these titles as the market becomes more saturated. Why it matters. Another study has shown that AAA gaming is in trouble. Projects continue to decline amid a less attentive audience. And so PC games for 10 hours a week on average are games too long. Console games 10 hours, PC games it's 9.7, 7.6. I would have thought that mobile games were a little bit more, because a lot of people are playing mobile games, but things you learn. And all together it's 8. According to the survey, 40% of PC gamers play less than 5 hours a week, while this figure drops to a concerning 36% for console gamers. Gamers on both these platforms game for an average of 10 hours a week. The research discusses that AAA games are also compete with other attention-grabbing media like TikTok and YouTube, so the attention span of gamers is already drained as the market continues to see more large-scale projects. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think if the games were like better in terms of the story, because that's the most important part, if people will play them more. And one thing that has changed from the past is a lot of these companies were bought out by corporations, and corporations are only interested in making money, so they don't really care about the gaming experience. It's the fact that you like give them money. Like, they're more interested in creating the next Fortnite than the next Half-Life. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's pretty evident in when the games that come out. So you got like the woke stuff, and you also got the corporate stuff where they're just making stuff that the average gamer doesn't want to play, and they really don't want to give you $70 for. Like, the reason why the price is so high is because they're spending way too much on the making of these games, and they don't necessarily need to, because if you look at the games that are making a lot of money, it's like they don't seem to have huge budgets, and the ones that would have huge budgets really don't seem to make that much money because they emphasize the wrong things. All right. Since AAA games demand more attention and time than other media, research shows that shorter AA projects are a more sustainable way forward for the industry. Games being shorter has also started becoming a selling point for projects anyway, which is weird as an idea, because that's just how games used to be. Like early 2000s, 90s. I remember playing computer games, and the games were always short. They were relatively short. they had high replayability. That's the word of the day. And they got away from that by telling these long drawn out things, which is good because, like, Red Dead Redemption and all that, and GTA, things of this nature, and your average JRPG is relatively long. But most games in the past were short because, again, it was a game for gamers. They didn't spend that much money on making the game, and then they can just crank it out, have a fun experience, and then work on the next one. Crank it out, have a fun experience, work on the next one, and so on and so on and so forth. So that's just how the industry was back in the day. So hopefully we're going to go back to that. Previously, the BioShock creator also clarified that AAA games will lose attention from the industry unless they bring major innovations. So we might be headed towards a AA dominance in the future. Now, there is a few other articles that kind of go with this. So one of them, this one came out on March 3rd. So this is a more recent article. Ubisoft developer says gamers are more interested in unique indie games than AAA titles today. Again, this is kind of how games were, and they got away from that more for the corporate stuff because they're not interested in innovation because innovation costs money. So, but you don't, if you don't innovate, you don't create new titles. You don't create new games to make sequels and whatnot for. So that's what they don't seem to understand. Say AAA projects are too risky today. No, it's just the way that they make them. So there's little doubt that AAA gaming is currently unsustainable nature. Modern games take more time to develop, and even big successes don't guarantee job security. On the other hand, failures are almost certainly spell disaster for entire teams. Like I said before, this has more to do with the corporate environment of these corporations, of these companies. Like Ubisoft at some point used to make an interesting game. So you got like Far Cry, and you have I'm drawing a blank on these two, but they were all interesting games when they first came out, and then they became very like vanilla, and it just became a Ubisoft thing where you climb the tower, look at everything, open up the map, and it's just full of mini games, like little busy work. And at some point that becomes kind of boring. But each one of these game titles, except for maybe this one, was very innovative when it first came out. All right, the situation also created an interesting opportunity for indie studios. As a former Ubisoft developer notes, the gaming industry is at a crossroads. What they need to do is go back to making games how they used to, which will be cheaper, more variety of game, and you don't have to make $1 billion to make your money back. So, and it's the same general concept when it comes to movies. Movies cost too much too. It's like, I don't know why you're spending all this. Nobody really asks you to do that. So why it matters, indie games are steadily risen to new heights, and the lackluster state of AAA gaming gives indie studios a major chance to break new ground. VGC recently spoke to former Ubisoft developer David Solani and Christian Mesa. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, sir. Then the former who worked the Mario plus Rabbids IP. On the other hand, Christian Catamessa has worked on higher profile titles like Red Dead Redemption, and both developers have joined forces to work on an indie project. Discussing the decision to start a new studio, Solani stated that the industry is at an interesting point. He highlighted how massive investments need to be recouped for modern projects, making AAA gaming unsustainable. Interestingly, Ubisoft itself is struggling with sustainability today, with past rumors pointing to imminent bankruptcy for the gaming giant. Solani believes that solutions should lie in greater indie focus. He points out that players are more interested than ever in unique experiences and that break away from typical AAA trends, because typically it's the same experience. I remember looking at one of those showcases, I think it was for Xbox, and all that I can think of is I've seen this before. The next game comes out, I've seen that before, seen this before, I've played this type of game before, so on, and so nothing looked interesting. It points out that players are more interesting and more, to break away from typical trends. This is also why platformer like Astrobot won Game of the Year and various other awards last year. Both David Solani and Christian Catamessa are currently working on a new IP. While little is known of their next project, the team is likely to focus on delivering an experience not found in most AAA offerings today. Again, they need to go back to making games how they used to. Like I said, it will be cheaper, more entertaining, and you can take more chances because you don't have to, because you didn't spend as much money. So therefore, if it just doesn't work out, like, okay, we can try something else, and it doesn't bankrupt your studio. It's like with Beyond Good and Evil. The first game was a cult classic. Basically, all they needed to do was take that same general idea. It was a small game. I think it was made for Xboxes. Like they had like a whole push for smaller games. I think that's why they made it. They decided to make this sprawling open world crazy thing that they eventually never actually made. They put out a trailer which looked interesting. It's like nobody asked you to do that. The fan base of the original game liked the original game, so you just had to improve on that. But it's just kind of how things go. So actually, there was one more thing. So the RE developer, and this was like last year, October 27th, he said AAA games will continue to struggle, criticizes Force DEI. One thing that I had a problem with Monster Hunter World is the game that I played on the Let's Play. You should check it out. Is they put stuff in there that was not in the previous games. And it's clearly stuff that other people said that they had to do it. It's all this DEI stuff. They had a character who sound like a woman, looked like a woman, yet the other characters referred to this woman as a he. I'm like, what purpose does this serve? It didn't change anything. It doesn't make me feel more for the character. I don't know how this is more inclusive. I have no clue. But it's just something that they put in there. And more people are just over that. It's just like when you look at these studios and you see all these people with purple hair and multiple, all kind of crazy stuff, it just turns your average gamer off, where they just don't want to deal with that because they know what type of game these group of people are going to make, and it's going to be something that they're not interested in. So I'm not really going to get too much into this. Okay. So I'm just going to read like what he said on Twitter. He said, "It is absolutely not a surprise to me that a lot of AAA studios have been struggling lately, and my prediction that it won't really get any better anytime soon. I know it sounds absurd, but most of the game studios out there that hit it big were at one point just a small group of passionate folks that wanted to make games together. Gamers who wanted to make games. In a lot of cases, they were just friends, and if they were lucky, they found out in the process that they actually can make a great team together. Then the games they created struck a chord, and now they scale up and become a massive studio. And then lots of other folks come in and demand this and demand that. Unknowingly change the culture and approach. Then we suddenly wonder what happened to this and that great studio that always delivered in the past, but once they're not delivering the same quality products no more. And even though everything has changed in their approach to making games." All right. So what happened was everyone who made that studio eventually was pushed out. They either left because they got tired, they either left because they were physically pushed out of the studio, or so your Rocksteadies and your BioWares and all this all these companies, the people who made the games, they're not there anymore. CG Project Red, a lot of the people who made these games, what they were, they're not there. So their flavor is not there. It's like you got a new chef and you go to your favorite restaurant, you got a new chef and you don't like how he makes the steak. Because the person who made the steak how you liked it is not there no more. So I'm not shocked by this. Again, I will say what I said before. They need to go back to making games how they used to, just like how he described a small group of people making something that they're very passionate about. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you don't destroy your studio when you don't spend $300 million. If you spend, maybe $1 million, something like that, and you sell anything, then you can go a little bit more into your next game. But you don't have to go crazy. All right. So that's just my 2 thoughts. Please like, share, and subscribe and all that stuff. And if you got any comments, let me know. But please hit the comment though, because that helps with the algorithm. All right. Peace.